New Year's resolutions are a crock of shit, and in this video I'm going to share with you why that is so and why they set you up for failure and how to actually succeed at making healthy changes for yourself. So the reason that I say New Year's resolutions are a load of crap is because basically, if you really want to make the change, if you're really honest with yourself and you want to make this change, whatever it is that you're trying to better about yourself, you do not need to wait until the 1st of January. And if we give ourselves that tiny window of, oh, January, I've got to change, okay, I've got to do it, then literally from the 1st of January, you're just beating yourself up every single day of the month that you are not doing it. Really, we want to set ourselves up properly, and if you really want to make a change, you will do it no matter what day it is. So whenever you are watching this, whatever day it is today, 15th of January, August the 31st, whatever it is, you can start today. You can start with something small, and I will go through that now. So the first step is really to just start. And when I say start, I mean writing it down. Write down the thing that you want, and then writing the steps that you are going to need to take in order to attain that goal. The easiest example for me to use is weight loss, just because it's a really common goal of people, especially at New Year's. So the key is to just write it down. Now, if you're an overweight person and you have been overweight for a really long time and you've never really been a good healthy weight and you've never been slim or anything like that, but your goal is to be slim and your goal is to be a size 2, then I would suggest to you to really reflect upon whether that is actually a realistic goal. You know, if I want to be a size 2, but I also really like having my Friday night pizza nights, and the only way I'm going to get to size 2 if I'm super strict on my diet and just can't afford to have those pizza nights. But those pizza nights are important to me because I have this really great connection with my friends when I do that. You know, we want to weigh that up and really reflect and go, okay, which thing really is actually more important? And that's when you can adjust your goal. So it doesn't mean don't do it or abandon the goal. It just means, you know, you look for somewhere else where you can make modifications that you're willing to make. So instead of giving up my Friday night pizza night, I'm going to give up my 2 pieces of chocolate a night, or instead of 4 pieces a night, I'm only going to have 2. So really small and attainable goals. These are really sub goals that you're looking at, and it helps to write it down. So the first thing is, okay, I'm going to write down the goal. The other thing is especially at New Year's, people think to themselves, okay, I'm going to give up drinking and I'm going to drop 3 dress sizes and I'm going to get really fit. I'm going to go to the gym as well, and I'm going to make more of an effort to do this hobby or that hobby, or make more of an effort with my family, and you just have all this whole big new leaf you think you're going to turn over, and it's just not realistic, and you're setting yourself up for failure and just to feel crap about yourself for not achieving that. So we really want to just, you know, hone it in, like rein it in, and then hone in on just one thing. So you can write down your 5 big goals. Maybe you do have 5 big goals, but then rank them. Which one's the most important? Okay, weight loss is the most important for me, so I'm going to focus on that. And then, okay, so how much weight do I want to lose? Now I would also recommend being loose with this. Be loose with the amount of weight and amount of time, because there are 2 other factors that will make you feel like crap if you don't achieve it. However, you do need to have some kind of structure, because if you don't put any parameters on it, then you'll also never do it. It'll have the opposite effect. You won't get motivated. So a realistic but a flexible parameters in terms of time frames and amount of weight. What is actually realistic? And we want to keep the focus on today and this week as opposed to all those weeks in the future, because that's when things become overwhelming, when we're trying to think about every single day ahead of us instead of just the day that we're dealing with right here, right now. So We want to rank the goals, choose the most important one, and then establish the sub-goals. And you know, you might then choose one sub-goal, because when we're talking about weight loss, for example, it's about water intake, it's about diet, it's about sleep, it's about exercise. There's lots of different factors involved there. And you might not be able to conquer all of those factors. So again, which one can you do? Okay, I can drink an extra glass of water a day, and I can eat 2 pieces of less of chocolate a day, and I can wake up just 5 minutes earlier to do a little bit of some sort of movement, whether it's 5 minutes of walking. You know, that's a really attainable goal if you're just aiming for 5 minutes. Maybe that's too easy for you, and then you'll quickly say 15 minutes. I'm just giving that example because some minutes is better than no minutes. You just have to start and take the action, and the rest will follow. And the reason that happens is because naturally inside yourself, you have an internal audience who is actually watching what you do. And I guess you might call this your conscience, your subconscious, or your unconscious mind. And you know deep down whether you have done your best or if you haven't. And that's when we feel good about ourselves and bad about ourselves. So once you start achieving those tiny little sub goals, then inside you will naturally feel happier and start thinking, oh, I did really well, and I think I can do a bit more. I think I can do 15 minutes instead of 10 minutes next week. So just really breaking it down, focusing only on one day and 1 week at a time. So you might plan a whole week ahead, but then each day only focus on the day at hand and go from there. Then we're really actually setting ourselves up to successfully achieve some change, and we're not aiming for, you know, the stars. We're not aiming for all the way in outer space. Another thing we really want to do is really reflect on, do I really want this thing? Sometimes the idea of something is much more attractive than the reality of it. So I've done lots of fitness changes and I've done different kinds of diets and different kinds of fitness programs, and I've been different weights as well and body shapes as well. I've done different body composition stuff. And sometimes when you get what you were aiming to get, you lose something else. Like I remember when I became really lean, but then my boobs shrank. And, you know, so then some of my tops weren't fitting me properly anymore, and that was annoying. Like I didn't want to go and buy all new clothes. It's the same as when you put on weight, you don't want to go and buy new clothes. It's the same thing when you lose weight where you weren't expecting to. Or if I had lost too much weight, like all of this was squished in and I actually looked older. So having a bit more weight around my face made me look a bit younger. So sometimes what's in our head about what that thing's going to get us or how it's going to make us feel isn't the reality of it. So we have to get really honest with ourselves and go, okay, what do I really want? What is it? What am I really trying to feel here? And am I able to feel the way I want to feel going down this path? And it could be true. You probably will feel better if you lose weight, if you're overweight. But do you need to lose a whole 3 dress sizes? Maybe you only need to lose 1.5, something like that. So just really reflect on, do I really want this? Another good example is, do I really want a partner? You know, I think I'd really like to have a boyfriend, or I'd really like to have a girlfriend this year. And then, but also you are a very independent person who likes to do whatever the heck you want, whenever the heck you want. And that's really incompatible with being in a committed relationship. So it's just another good example of, yeah, I like the idea of it. I want to have someone there when it suits me, or it'd be good to have company, or it'd be good to have someone to go with me to do this thing. But in reality, your lifestyle is actually quite incompatible, and you might not be willing to make those compromises that are required to be in a healthy, committed relationship. So just really getting honest with yourself. What is it that I really want? And the reason this is so important is because we can get stuck in either self-loathing at one end of the scale or perfectionism at the other end of the scale. So if you are pushing yourself really hard and you're really conscientious and you're an absolute perfectionist and you're being perfect, it may not necessarily be making you happy. Perfectionism can make us miserable because, you know, we're pushing all the way there, but we're still not feeling the way that we wanted, that we were trying to feel. And then at the opposite end of the scale, when you do absolutely nothing and you're just continuing to be really unhealthy, and then, you know, we're in that self-loathing space, and we don't really want to be in either one of those spaces. So really reflect and get honest so that you can find your happy medium between perfectionism and self-loathing, so that you can actually start to build that self-efficacy, self-confidence, self-esteem, and, you know, self-respect, and just feeling good about yourself and the things that you are achieving. So the next really important factor is your environment. So again, the easiest example to talk about this is with your diet. So if you live in a house that is full of junk food, it's going to be really difficult for you to not eat it. I'm not going to lie. If you are just surrounded by it, or same with giving up alcohol, if you're surrounded by it or surrounded by people who consume that thing, and that's the thing that you do together, then that's really difficult. And you are probably going to need more than a YouTube video to help you out of that situation. What I can say is, if it's dietary, there are places that you can go. I went to True North in California. You can go there, and it takes you out of your environment and puts you in a new environment where none of your habits are accessible to you. And they also put you on a diet, and they give you lots of health education. So there's things like that that you can do to break habits, and then you'll experience neuroadaptation. So what you crave and want to eat changes, like neurologically, literally changes. And, you know, a similar thing can be done with exercise as well. But obviously this isn't an option for everyone. So if you are in a situation where you are living in a family and you can't just leave and you can't just move out, and you're not getting the support that you need, because that's really common as well, is that partners don't want to support a partner to make the healthy changes because this unhealthy thing is the thing they do together and it connects them. They might want to keep them there in that space. You know, that's a really tricky dynamic to navigate, and that needs professional help. I would highly recommend, you know, someone who's experienced, a psychologist or a therapist who's really experienced in helping people navigate those types of relationships. And of course, you know, rehab, if it's a drug or alcohol problem, then, you know, getting professional help and going to rehab, or getting rehab in the community, whatever that is. But yeah, ultimately the point is, your environment has to support the change. You have to get rid of the things that are tempting for you to engage in the unhealthy behavior, and you have to add things to your environment that are going to support you. So to sum it all up, we want to be able to have these chunked down, bite-sized sub-goals. It has to be clear in our minds, so you need to have written it down, and then written down those sub-goals, and then written down the pathways to each of those sub-goals, and just choose one of those teensy little pathways that's going to get you towards the sub-goal, and start building on that. And when that's part of your regular habit, then add another one. And then when you're doing that automatically without even trying, add another thing. And we just grow it really, really slowly. You know, the same as you plant a seed and it doesn't grow into a tree overnight. You plant the seed and you slowly give it what it needs now. You know, you don't soak it with a whole tree's worth of water. When it's just a seed, it needs the right soil, the right amount of moisture, the right amount of nourishment as a seed. And then when it's a small plant, you appropriately nourish it as a plant. We're exactly the same when we're making changes. So I hope this video helps. I hope it helps clarify. New Year's resolutions, just toss them away. If you've written it down, just tear it up, write a new list that's not New Year based, and see if you can actually realistically modify your goals and realistically chunk it down into sub goals and pathways that you can actually achieve and make at least one small change each week. I hope you found this helpful. Like, subscribe if you haven't already, and I hope to see you next time.